A father's love is put to the test when a young adventurer must do everything possible to make his daughter happy, even if it means having to save the world. Prepare your weapons, your potions, and your paternity papers. It's time to enter the world. From UICHI I don't know Notame and Araba, and a lot more, but I'm not going to say it during a typical mission. And a bit of filler because lately his days have developed in a boring way. The adventurer Dale, 18 years old, finds a girl named Latina after observing her for a long time. Our protagonist manages to realize that she is an 8-year-old demon girl with a broken horn, the mark of a criminal in the demonic society. The reason why many are exiled. After the first glance, she manages to communicate with difficulty with the little girl who only he speaks the demonic language. Fortunately it is the same language as Dale's Mexican spells, so with great effort he manages to make himself understood. Then Latina shows him the rugby skeleton, or a male demon that Dale supposes was his father. There the girl tells him before he died, he ensured that she did not come near him because he could attract wild animals. After hearing the stories, and seeing the deplorable state in which the little girl is found, she explodes on Tierra Rago properly using her magical powers, and takes the tub to the city of Korea so that Rita and Keen's, the owners of the tavern in which I rent a room, help her. Points of joy, they cure her with a bath food, and sleep. The next morning Latina feels very close to Dale. Well, for the first time in a long time she feels she is careful because she is afraid of being abandoned again. She fearfully seeks the face of her savior every time she wakes up, which causes her great tenderness. Later at breakfast Latina has already learned to say hello in the human language. Rita gives her a couple of ribbons to cover her horns, and Kenneth gives her sweets. In just one night the two innkeepers have grown very fond of the little girl. At another time Rita asks him to give him what is his plan with the girl, and he proposes to send her to an orphanage, but not the woman. It seems like a very sensible idea to him because after all, she is still a demon girl. Swearing that she will think about it later, she makes sure to buy what is necessary for the tub to be able to have a decent life, and then they both go to the market, and there he buys her clothes and new shoes. Upon returning from the walk, and seeing how fond the girl has become of him, Dale decides that despite his dangerous adventurous lifestyle, and his lack of experience with children, he will adopt the Latina as his daughter. On his part, Rita, and those who assure that they could take care of her on the days when our protest away from home for their missions while they live in the forest. Rago shows Latina her first rainbow, explaining that it is a sign from God, and the girl is fascinated with such a beautiful image, and its meaning in the present. Dale has become a very devoted father, but he neglects his work to spend time with the tub to such an extent that he prefers to lose money from a job already done in order not to leave the little girl alone in the tavern. However, Rita scolds him, saying that's how in this way, he will never be able to take proper care of Latina, and then he forces her to go back to work while she and Kenneth take care of the girl, despite the fact that at first it is very difficult for her to accept reality. Our protagonist, realizing that Rita is right for what she is, she goes to the woods to work, hoping to return that same night. In the absence of giving her the has begins to help in the local because she understands her situation, and wants to give a end to those who take care of her. Her clumsy attempts to help in the tavern charm the normally rude adventurous clients who grow very fond of her over time. The Latina begins to help with tasks such as cooking and cleaning, giving her a sweet at the end of the day as a reward for her work. A week later, Latina has begun to learn human language, both for be in touch with customers like our planet's nocturnal lessons through picture books. One day who is and Latina go shopping for groceries. Although this makes some jealous, give them a big dad spending too much time with the little one, though he allows Latina to go with him to buy provisions on the way. You have it, and it distracts when a street magician conjures a rainbow and gets lost in the market. Then who returns to the tavern to discuss the situation to give him, and worried occurs search for tools. Rita mobilizes to Gillett Bester and the other adventurers to find her, while the adventurers look for the fearful 50 Latina girl. Moderating through the market, there she was with 3 young people, Rudy, Marcel, and Anthony, who do not understand the language of the demon, and accidentally make her cry. When they see the situation, appears his friend Chloe, who beat him for bothering a little girl. Calm Llamas. Latina covers Marcel's scraped knee, showing that he is capable of using magic, a rare ability. However, he seems to affirm that he can only use magic to heal, not for other things. When they all become friends, he meets Gil, who runs the Latina tavern, and then walks the kids home. Latina apologizes for causing trouble for the adventurers, and I was when Dale comes back because he wants to stay with him, and is afraid of to be alone again that night. She and Dale read a book with a picture of a rainbow. Dale is devastated when he gives her a job that would take her away from the tub for several days. But Retta convinces him to take advantage of the trip to the capital for a sweet Latina. This improves the boy's spirits that night when he wakes up the tub from his dream to let him know that he will continue for a few days. The little girl accepts him happily, and gives him a much better way than to give him, who still cannot bear to be so far away from his daughter that he returns to the capital on the back of a dragon. But he is so grumpy that he terrifies the pilot into thinking he will be torn apart at the slightest mistake. However, instead he accidentally inspires Dale to get Souvenir C. Andy from Latina indicates the exact place to find them. Dale meets up with his old friend Lord Gregor, who is shocked to learn that he has adopted a demon girl, and considers that the fact that our own demon could be a problem ahead, because if he leaves that works adolescence, he is asked to kill several servants of the 7th demon lord, since the king wants to avoid sending his own soldiers, as it could be seen as an act of war by the demon lord. However, the demon lord's servants usually have much higher strength than normal demons, so it is considered a high difficulty job of in this way. Some more adventurers go to the forest to carry out the mission. Back in the tavern, Latina is depressed. So, who teaches to be shepherd's pie? While they talk, he talks about his past, and the way in which no one ever treated him well, and they always considered her a bad girl. For this reason she blames herself for her father's death, and believes that if Dale finds out that she is bad, he will stop loving her. But cooking the cake has helped to momentarily distract from these thoughts. Latina's friend Chloe visits the tavern to see if Latina plans to go to school, and when she finds out that the demon is 8 years old, Rita decides to enroll her in the local school in the forest. Daily Gregory and other adventurers killed 3 dragons, several humans, and a female demon that would serve the Lord of the Demons without hesitation. 2 seconds. Dale eliminates the demon with a single sword blow in the tavern. The traffic of Latina, it turns out to be very popular among the customers who lately only go for that, and Gilbertster is amazed at how quickly he has completely dazzled her to the rude adventurous customers. After 2 weeks, Dale finally returns home after a touching father and daughter reunion in which both seem happier than ever to see each other again. They exchange gifts while the store presented him with a shepherd's pie they made especially for him that moves him to tears. Dale gives a giant bag of sweets and gifts to the girl. The tavern, an adventurer enters with his dear arm, and Latina heals the adventurer's injured arm, astonishing Dale, who did not know that the little girl could be learning that the only spell he can do is decoration. Dale decides to teach the little girl several new spells. While teaching her about Latin magic, she begins to ask totally innocent questions, and he said that humans and demons are more united without commenting on the accents, the reality between humans and demons. Dale humors him. The next day, Latina attends her first day of school, and makes a new friend. Sylvia is written differently, but I am going to say the lyrics. Sylvia, who immediately manages to notice that Latina is a demon, and instead of realizing himself, he gets excited and asks her to show him her horns. Sometime seconds later, a teacher enters the class who gives her the Latina hair on end, although she does not quite understand why. During a second day at school, the teacher discovers the horn from Latina under her tape. He physically attacks her, begins to throw her into the air, taking her by the horns while she carries out a totally violent speech about demons. From her position as an extreme religious priest, vomits all her hatred towards the demon, and tries to put the other students in trouble against Latina. However, her friends begin to defend her, and then the whole class. The poor demon's defense sinks quickly. The school staff destroys the teacher, dismisses her, but destroying would have been more fun against the demons. Latina is traumatized by this situation, and the terror worsens after learning that the average life of the demons is 200 years, more than twice as good as our silver is at night. He locks her in her room, violently breaks the horn that it remains, and she almost bleeds to death until Burns takes them running to the hospital of the temples. When Dale arrives, he finds out a little about the history of Latina. The girl explains that in the demon city they expelled her, and told her that they did not want her there. Then everyone around her, they lost their lives, and she was left completely alone until our main character found her. For this, the little firm who doesn't want to be a demon, and that means she would outlive him and his friends. After reassuring her, give a furious visit to the temple artist advisor, and uses her considerable political influence to get her fired and expelled, since it was not the first time that an incident had occurred since the elves had been discriminated against by her before, because there are also elves in this world. It was not explained to us before, but it is what it is. And since nothing is explained to us, I am not going to explain why you have to subscribe. Simply do it. Leave your like. That is down there. Later, Chloe presents herself with the invitation from Latina to tell her that she was very concerned about the situation, and to scolding her for having removed the horn that also finally remained. The two girls, they hug and cry together shows I don't know. The important thing is that they are for each other. That night, the adventurers threw a party to celebrate Latina's recovery, and she apologizes for worrying everyone, generating even more tenderness in the compulsive drinkers who love her so much. At the party, it is revealed that Latina does not know how to sing. Even if you give them, keep thinking that she is cute. Latina, she finds out from her classmates that it is a birthday. Remember that this is the month of. From then on, she begins to work formally for those who can earn a salary, and start going to Chloe's house after school to learn how to approach, since Chloe's parents are tailors, and they could show her the tavern. Since explained to her that Latina is very intelligent, but she had to teach her basic things like holding a knife to cut potatoes or how to use a rag. So they ask her what the hell if they had never done anything like that at home, and she comments that they always told her that she couldn't do things because she hadn't yet. He was determined. However, when they ask him what hasn't happened yet, the girl begins to get nervous, and decides to stop talking. Dale finds out from whom he has come to pay a salary to the tub for working in the tavern, traumatizing him. Well, Dale, consider that it is not healthy for a girl to work, especially if he can happily buy her everything the girl wants. While Latina and Gilbert talk about the snow, the adventurer suspects that there are two men in the tavern watching Latina, and takes a defensive position. Later in life, he reveals that he used his salary to buy materials, and learned to board to make an adventure bag. But on our birthday, when he receives the beautiful gift, they are moved to tears, and shows all the adventurers in the tavern the beautiful gift that Latina gave him with her own H. And the next morning it starts to snow, and she is happily surprised because it is the first time she knows the snow together. With our main character, they both make a snowman. The girl enjoys that weather more than anyone. Later, when you hit the march to work, Latina realizes that Gilbertster has left the bag with the money, and runs to return it back to the tavern, as Atta are two men who intend to kidnap her, and sell her on the black market where demon children are considered rare and valuable. Remembering that Dale told her to only use attack magic if she was in danger, Latina begins to cast a spell, but Gilbster arrives and threatens to kill the kidnappers. At that moment, the head of the guard appears, who is also Sylvia's father, and after imprisoning the kidnappers, appears before our girl, who is excited to meet her friend's father. It's been 6 months since our protein against the tub in the woods decided to take care of her. Rita gets sick, and Dale is seriously worried, but then finds out that she and Kenneth are expecting their first baby. After congratulating them, our own question if it wouldn't be better for him and Latina to move elsewhere to give them more space. However, the two bartenders tell her that Dale can do whatever he wants, but now Tina he stays to live there. Yes or yes, because he is of great help to the tavern. Dale receives a letter from the Astro, his hometown, that is to say to visit him, and have him fit the jacket that they gave him there so that he adapts to his height. He also wants to hurry up the visit so as not to leave Retta and Kenneth without help. When they have the baby, Tina decides that she wants to go with her Latina family in need of equipment. You are going to buy a knife at the gun store owned by Rudy's father, accompanied by Kenneth. They lived at first. He doesn't want to sell her the knife because she's just a girl. Kenneth ends up convincing Rudy's father, and has her buy her multi-purpose knives with the money she earned working in the tavern. At one point, Rudy appears at his father's business, and at finding out about Keratin he leaves. He becomes quite depressed. However, the girl tells him that he only travels with Dale, and then returns to cover. When he hears this, Rudy calms down because he seems to want to be around Latina much longer. Later at school, he tells his other friends about her trip with Dale, and everyone is excited for her. Meanwhile, Dale looks for a wizard's cape for her after consulting with the Hellman wizard, although she doesn't like having to talk to her. Finally, the two start their journey. A few meters from entering the forest, Latina feels the danger and the world. Later that the girl Dale manages to observe the magical beasts that harass them with a single movement. The beasts do not defeat you. However, as they advance, she meets other magical beasts that Dale hates to face because are odorous fluids that give off. For her luck, Latina uses her magic to close a protective shield that prevents those fluids from sticking to the body of our planet. So our boy defeats the monsters while he rejoices and surprises the girl's great Mexican skills. For the on the way, the two visit the grave where Tina Ragu's father is buried so that she can tell him everything about her new life. The two set up camp and have her. She proves that she is a capable cook, even in the forest, for which Dahl is very grateful. Dale Latina continue their journey through the city center of Hyson before arriving in the city behind which, and or something like that. There he meets her in person, things that he had only seen in books such as Bridges. At the same time that Dale shows him that he is stronger than he believes, and not so much as a girl, and now the girl is also surprised by how different this new city is from the one she already knows. That Latin night she begins to write in her private diary, and Dale wants to read what she writes about, but the girl does not allow it. What saddens our planet. In her free time, the demon takes The opportunity to send letters to her friends about the new things that they experience on their trip. The first night they dine in a luxury restaurant, and the Latina realizes that one of the admirers wears a character similar to his. Also remembers that Regula warned him never to lose the bracelet because it is really important, although he never explained why. Later Latina they ask the artists of course about the bracelet. Of course you explain that you are a demon from the country of Versalios ruled by the first lord of the demons, and that traditionally the parents give a bracelet to the children of the demons to celebrate their birth since the demons find it difficult to have children. The engraving of the bazaars of the store reveals that the name full of his father Ragu was Samara. Blocks that I said. Of course it is explained that he helped after the first demon lord was killed by the second demon lord since the country became dangerous. Also explained that there are several demon lords, demons as the third demon lord of the sea, and the sixth demon lord of the giants, and so on, but there are three known as the calm demon lord. The second of these is from the underworld, the fourth is from the plague, and the seventh is the of the war. Before separating, the strip takes the opportunity to ask her clearly about the relationship with her human husband and adult Germany. Then she comments that despite the fact that the man has already passed away due to the age difference, they were very happy together, and although they could not grant sons she is very happy to have met him. This leaves a little calmer Latina, who still turns her head the idea that demons live twice as long as humans. While she continues on her journey, Delilah has a beastman friend and relative of Delex Dale. Latina Chica was a town of beastmen. For their next stop they stayed with the family of, and the tub gets along well with Maya his daughter, and with his wife because together they cooked delicious meals with food and mountain vegetables that had never been thrown away, never seen in his life. While they eat Joseph, they never go to the priest to fetch EG or whatever. I already saw him. The Latina man drops his spoon. Dale worries about her, but the girl admits that she is in perfect condition, and that night he insists on asking her if she is all right, and the girl affirms that as long as he is by her side, she will be fine. However, the boy wonders if that name is the person who expelled the tub from his village the next day. He appears still worried, and after Maya asks him if he feels well, and the demon girl begins to cry, she does the same. Later, she tells her that she is a bad girl, and that is the reason why she cannot return to her village. Then she tells her about a prophecy that she does not really remember well, but who talked about her, and the bad person she is. Although her family said that it was not a Latin call, she continued to blame herself for the death of her father. The next day the two enjoy a meal prepared by the beastmen while they bring the giant wild boars they hunted. After spend another night in the village the two set out, and Maya gets angry when Latina leaves 3 dodge a bean of arrows and avoid the traps set by some soldiers. The protagonist and Latina arrive at their hometown, the theater town. Upon arriving there he found out that it was Dale's family who was attacking, and after a few discussions everything is settled, and they get in a good mood. Dale explains to the Latina that the main reason for his return is that his brother George will marry Frida, the boss's daughter, from a nearby town called Dunes. Dale introduces the tub to the family, and although at first everyone is surprised, they end up taking a liking to the tub and her tender personality. That Latin night Dale sleeps for the first time in separate invitations, but in the middle of the night I'm not the main character hears her daughter's voice and runs to her room. There she finds the little demon wrapped in her sheets in a corner on the verge of tears. When she sees him, Latina runs into her exile, and tells her that when she woke up she began to feel afraid because after all, she is in a place she does not know. After asking her not to abandon her, they both sleep together, and the store calms down. The Latina writes a letter, and sends it back to Cruz to her friends. The children were excited to read the beautiful things that Latina has known in our protagonist's hometown, and the good treatment she receives from our girl's whole family. At the same time Rita and Kenneth are happy for the little girl while they see how their own son grows. This obviously melts the belly with the villagers of the theater preparing for the wedding. Dale's GR and mother takes Dale to a kennel to play with the dogs. When she sees that the girl quickly won the affection of all the dogs, the GR and mother decides that she will show something new to the little demon, who takes the store to the forest to teach her its secrets. That Latin night tells Dale how happy she is to be with him. The next day the store goes to the forest alone, and Dale begins to follow her because he cares for her but tries to stop her. The girl does not see it. When they both arrive at the forest, Latina makes a strange noise, and behind the bushes a magical wolf pup appears, the same as when Garden, whose name is GR and MA, she taught in the forest, to which Latina feeds dried meat. Seeing this, "You are impurity," and scolds her because she should not go near magical beasts. However, Love tries to defend Tina, and Dale stays calmer. I see that he would not hurt him. Later, the little demon tells her that the whole wolf family nearby, and takes him to a place where the whole mythical herd is. which is surprising in this protagonist because I have never seen anything like this. And at that moment he finds out that a Latina has made friends with all the beasts that night Yorkie Frida gets married. And despite the happiness for his brother Dale seems a bit sad, so you have her about him to talk and give him an account of his life before he met her, even though it was a job. For York, Dale accepted the Reiki degree so he could protect the village from abroad to avoid problems with the clans and the nearby feudal lords who do not want our people to his family has offered someone endowed with divine protections whose powers make him worthy of the title of hero. That person is our main character of the family, for in order to fulfill his role, Dale had to eliminate other people who threatened Theodore, and he never felt comfortable with that role until he met Tina, and finally began to be happy using his strength to protect those around him, especially the little demon. After 2 months in this place, it was decided to return to the town where they were. Well, she must go back to work and defend her village from the outside. When she heard this, Latina gets depressed. People from our girl's hometown before leaving, and on the advice of the Latina GR and mother decides that she will make a crutch for Rita. She is a new son. For this she needs help from Dale, who will do the internal and powerful part while the earth will take care of decorating it little by little. Our Latina prepares to start the trip back to the Cross while they both say goodbye to their friends and family in the theater, something they give as sweet other tips. And the mythical wolves give them their own fur to ward off other magical times along the way. For her part, the GR and mother grants a Latin name since, although it is normally granted when a villager reaches the age of majority, she does not expect to be alive when the store reaches the age of majority, so by granting that name, the old woman opens the possibility for the store to return to the village when she wants to. GR and MA gives her some mythical wolf fur ribbons to keep her safe, while Dale also has his improved and custom-made uniform. Finally the two start the journey back and stop in the village of the Beastmen, where Maya is happy to see the Latina again, whom she does not leave alone for 2 seconds after spending a day there. The two continue their journey, stopping again in the other city where she has her to buy a special souvenir for Rita. Using her own money while they talk, the store tells her Dale that her magic is not very powerful, despite the fact that she does not know her magical abilities. Explained at one point that her power was limited after a few days of traveling in this proto-girl finally to their Paretta city, and they are very happy to receive them back in the same way. The adventurers are happy to see Tina again serving the tavern. The store returns to school and shares her adventures with her friends, while Sylvia asks her about each which he did while he wasn't in Crocs, and Chloe confesses that Rudy has worked on Latina's broken horn and made a necklace for Chloe from that day on. The girl always carries the necklace with her as a good luck charm and a memory of our girl. When Rudy sees Latina at school, blushes and is excited. Well, she has also missed him a lot. Her other friends are also happy to see her, and later, the store gives all the gifts she brought for them. Then Tina finds out that he also has a necklace with her horn, and he wears it every day. For his part, I'm not the main character. He also comments on his adventures to those who irritate the tavern, that Latina had a bad thought about a path in the woods. And indeed there were some Ba about to attack, but thanks to the words of the demon she managed to take him by surprise and defeat them easily. After seeing a cat go by, Sylvia tells her that she has to the cats gather at night in the market, but she is not allowing her to go there at night after fantasizing all day about meeting a large group of cats. She tells him this after the idea of Sylvester Dale takes her. Let's see Gilbertser's neighbor who has several cats as choose. Then we will focus that Shizu was a close friend of Dale's GR and mother and GR and father, and is also a great merchant. In conversation, if he goes up, he tries to convince our planet to organize a festival for celebrate the growth of children, a tradition of our girl's home. But it is something that escapes from our ends. However, the merchant ends up convincing our protagonist to buy a beautiful but expensive kimono for a Latina. Meanwhile, the wolf cub from that Latina befriended travels to Cross to see her when Ree's son to be born Gilman drops by while accompanying him on his next heir, and that will keep him out of town for at least a month. Upon seeing him in that place and noticing the nervous attitude of our Latina, Prati gets nervous because she intuits that in addition to coworkers there is another type of past between them. The mission of our protagonist consists of sublimating the demons. Yes, I said that word correctly, but I don't care. And although it is a very important task in this process, you may think that it is in very bad taste that I have commissioned this broadcast along with Gilmania, despite the fact that she is a good Latin magician, makes a wish to grow, putting her in a bad mood, taking the drink away while both of these Latinas are in a worse mood due to the presence of, and she cannot help but show it. Well, everyone realizes it. Even the magician, who does not miss an opportunity to bother her because of her small size. Meanwhile, The magical wolf continues advancing on the road to visit our girl. It's night. Hitman appears in the tavern to tell him Dale to be more realistic about its duration, and to live as long as he can for her, since they both know that he has her, she will live much longer than him, and he must learn to live with her absence once he dies, something that he himself must teach her. He has to eat with his friends and colleagues about the future, and it seems that everyone has thought about what they will do when they grow up, but Latina is still not sure what awaits her in the future. More than I will continue working in the tavern. The day before leaving Dale, Latina, they decide to spend the day together because they will be long time without seeing each other. Then the radio grave and promises to take care of Latina while he lives. The next day, Telly begins his mission, leaving the store with Rita and Kenneth while Dale until outside the Melt son is born, and seems to be a child just in this period of time. The mythical lake, and Joseph's family visits the tavern to see the child, as well as allowing Maya to see Latina again sometime after the returnees to be with the tub, and they have a touching reunion. Well, the love they have for each other is growing.